Hey Mike, I was just thinking about you, man. I miss you a lot. I hope that your move to Indy was good. I'm excited to see you at Gen Con. You know, I saw a bird on the way to the office today, and it was just exquisite. I'm very regular, 4, 5 times a day. Is that normal? This time I changed lyrics, so it's about you and me, man. Highway run! So anyway, I'll talk to you later, man. Oh. Morning, Mike. I'm gonna tell you about every dream that I just had. So we were at the park. Pretty good. The ham was a little bit overcooked, but anyway, so that's everything I've eaten since you've moved away.
What is that thing?
It's a gift Mike gave me. He says it's a voicemail transponder, so I can just send him voicemail messages and he can listen to them whenever he wants.
Oh yeah, that was just some garbage I found when I was moving.
Hey everybody, welcome out to another rapid fire roundup here on the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee, and I'm going to be going through 10 games that I played recently that maybe other people reviewed on the channel, but I want to give you my quick thoughts on them. So I'm going to be going through these games in ascending order of how much I enjoyed them, starting with the game that I enjoyed by far the least, which is called Floor Plan, the Winchester Mystery House. I gave this game a 2. I really disliked it both as a mechanical roll and write game. I thought it was too random, but just functionally the way that it was as a physical product made. I have many complaints. So let's start with the mechanically, you roll some dice, and depending on the dice roll, that's the dimensions and the types of rooms that you can build in your house. The original floor plan had you building kooky houses that really made no sense whatsoever. I love building a huge house with no bedrooms. In the Winchester Mystery House, thematically it makes more sense as this house was allegedly haunted, so the owner felt like she had to just keep throwing additions on all over the place. But this is a 2-story house. So how does that work? Well, you have a transparency that you have to slide over the top of it. It's pinned down in the top left corner, so you have to kind of very preciously slide it over as to not smudge the dry erase on the first level. And then you have to use a black dry erase marker to draw on this dark, black, solid line grid on the transparency, which makes no sense. It doesn't show up well. It's hard to see what's going on. Using a transparency to draw rooms over the first part where you already drew rooms, it's mind-bogglingly a strange decision that I would not have gone with. I think that the game as a game is also too lucky and swingy. There's not a lot of mitigation. Sometimes you roll some ghosts on the dice and you're like, oh, I get to check off on the ghost track. 5 more ghosts, I get a mitigation. Yes! Don't like it. It's a 2. Winchester Mystery House Floor Plan. Next up, Deities. This is a game I'm giving a 5. Deities is if you were to mix a Eurogame resource gathering conversion kind of game with Othello or Reversi, the classic abstract strategy game, which I enjoy a lot. I enjoy either of those types of things, but this combination of them makes for a game that is too tactical and too chaotic in between turns, so that I can't really plan anything at all until it's the start of my turn. There's no overall long-term strategy, right? We use the term tactics to mean just making decisions completely on the fly, whereas strategic means having a plan, an overarching strategy, a good plan of what you want to try to accomplish this game. And you have to have none of that, and it's all tactical. And more than that, it's very chaotic tactical. I get bored during this game when it's not my turn because I'm just watching the board state constantly changing and tiles flipping over to create other resources, and then people locking spaces down and locking down rows. So I can't look at the board and have an idea of what I want to try to do by the time it's my turn because it's guaranteed going to change. That's too bad because I like a lot of the ideas of what's going on here. Deities has a beautiful production, but as a game it's not one I ever want to come back to, so a 5 for me. Not fun. Moving on. Seize the Bean. I gave a 6. This is a little clever engine building game, customer fulfillment, contract fulfillment type of a game. It has, I'll just say, divisive art. The biggest problem for me is that as cute and fun as the game is, it's got a lot of different symbols. This is also a critique that was brought up in the main review that the crew did, that the symbology of this game is not, I don't think it's thoughtfully done. I can see it, the symbols work, there is an explanation in the middle of the rule book. However, there's unintuitive things like if a customer has a soybean icon, what that means is I need to pay them 2 milk resources. Because in real life, if someone wants soy milk, you just pour them milk, regular cow milk, twice. That symbology doesn't make sense, and there's lots of different symbols where you have to pay 2 sugar resources. And I sort of get it, but it's not very intuitive. I talk about this where games that have really obtuse first plays, maybe this is a little bit of a me bias, but I don't rate them as highly because I often teach games to people. Even before working here at the Dice Tower, I was often a person teaching new games to new people. And so if you create these really obtuse rules and strange symbology that makes it harder for people to have fun with the game from the beginning, I'm going to think lower of the game. And so as fun as it is, and there's some really interesting things that you're trying to balance between keeping customers happy, do I get rid of customers, which customers do I add to the deck? It also feels like there's a lot of scoring things at the end of the game. So it makes for an odd first impression, and coming back to it's still okay. So it's a 6 from me. Seize the bean. Next up, Scooby-Doo the board game, 6.5. This is a family way cooperative game with an excellent theme. Really cool production. This is where Simon shines typically. And I played the non-deluxe version that just has more regular bits. You build the mystery machine out of a cardboard punch out, and it looks pretty rad. I gotta give them that. They did a groovy job with this one. Theming is pretty well done. It's a 6.5 for me because it's a little bit stranger of a cooperative game. And it plays out pretty similarly from game to game, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's about the same weight and scope as, like, say, Forbidden Island, but I do think that Forbidden Island is a little bit more robust. And of course, I do have the nostalgic history of having played that one for so many years, but it's still the one that I'm going to pull out and play with my kid and play with people who have never heard of a cooperative board game before. I'll pull that one out. But even though I'm giving Scooby-Doo board game a 6.5, I think if you're a major fan of the show, like really a big fan of it and love it, then I think that my 6.5 is for as someone who enjoys Scooby-Doo but doesn't love it. I think that theme might be strong enough in this one that it would bump up a few steps, honestly, for you. So keep that one in mind. That is Scooby-Doo the board game. Next up, Salad Master and his companion game Meat Master. This is from Taiwan Board Game Design, and this is 7.5 for me. Really like this one. You have cards that have different types of either vegetables, or if you're playing Salad Master, or different cuts of meat if you're playing Meat Master. And it has nutrition facts, but they're written on the side of the card facing away from you. All you see is broccoli or carrots or tofu, soybeans, stuff like that. And on the other side facing away is the nutrition facts. They go in these nice little wood card racks. So you see the back of everybody else's card with all the nutrition facts, but you don't know what yours own has, and I like that little dynamic. Then, a player chooses an objective card. We're going to take turns going around the table, playing a card out, and we're going to try to play the card that has the most fiber in it, or the most calories, or the second most calories. Those are some of my favorite cards in the game, because if you know some nutrition facts, sometimes you can guess what has the most calories. But trying to play a card that has like the second most of something, that's a curiosity. That's interesting. I thought I was going to enjoy Meat Master more than Salad Master. They're probably both about the same. They have slightly different nutrition facts between the two. Makes sense. You're not going to count the cholesterol of your vegetables, but you will try to count the cholesterol of your meats and cuts and stuff. So I'd recommend them. They're fun. 7.5 for me. Are they a bit of a novelty game? Sure, but it's a fun novelty. All right. Dice Manor. I give it an 8. I like this one. This is the newest Dice Tower Essential game. So it kind of comes that question of how do you review a game when you are an employee of the Dice Tower and there's a game that has stamped on it the Dice Tower Essentials, right? Arcane Wonders works with us. Tom recommends games to them. So how do you review this? Well, I'm giving this an 8 because I love the mechanisms. I have fun with the overall look of it is pretty good, right? But I love the mechanisms where you roll dice and then you roll a handful of dice. You have a couple of 3s, a bunch of 4s, 1 6. You have to choose all the dice of one number and assign it out to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 spot. That's fun. That's Las Vegas, the dice game, a game of which I'm a huge fan. But you then win those tiles at the end of the round, and you're building up a mansion, you're building up a manor, and then you can also, in later rounds, use those same dice to go on a little tour of your mansion, or you can fight for this different type of majority where you can use any number. That's a few more rules than Las Vegas has. I am a big fan of it. I think it's a fun game. And I will say this. That's coming from me, who is a big fan of the game mechanically, and I love other games that do similar things. I'm also the person that gave Foundations of Rome a 6.5, and I really criticized it, so I think that maybe I've earned some trust in saying, hey, this is a fun game, I'm not just hyping my own company's product. If you like Las Vegas, you might think this one has too many extra things going on for such a simple core, but I think that it gives you some more choices, and I think that's going to make for a more interesting two-player game. I wouldn't play Las Vegas at 2, but Dice Manor I could, but also I could just teach this to groups of people, and we always seem to have fun, so that's an 8 from me. Next up, Sabika, also an 8. This is a very different game from what I talked about before. This is ugly, dry, brown Euro game, and it has a very heavy rule set to, well, I don't want to, it's very heavy, but it's a very thinky game that's very economically tight and restrictive, so it feels heavy in that sense. It feels like you're really scraping to make sure to get enough done, but it's very fun, and I find it rewarding for how tight it is. It is, man, it's got rondelles going on, and it has various different types of actions. It has a map on the bottom where you're sailing to different parts of the Mediterranean and building up these contracts and stuff with other places. I love all of those things in games. So I'm a big fan of this one. This is by designer Herman Millan, who also did Bitoku, of which I was a fan. He also did Bamboo, of which I'm a huge fan. So he's a designer I'm really keeping my eye out for because I'm impressed with all of the stuff he's done. Sabika gets an 8 from me. Very fun. Fiction. Fiction is a game from All Play, and this is kind of you could sell this as Wordle, the board game, but good. This is Wordle, but the person who's answering the question, who comes up with a 5-letter word, and who is answering as other people are asking, hey, is it this 5-letter word? They get to lie about one response. So if you're not familiar with Wordle, right? There's a mystery word you're trying to guess. Say the word is cores, C-O-R-E-S. Well, you guess a 5-letter word like Earth. And so, well, Earth is not the actual answer, but there are some correct letters, and you have to say whether they're in the right space or whether there's the right letter but in the wrong space, in the wrong order. Much like the game Mastermind. In fact, I recently learned that Mastermind came out with a game back in the 60s or 70s called Word Mastermind. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, so the idea of Wordle is fun. It's a good little app game or game you play on your phone. There have been many failed attempts to make a Wordle the board game because it's super boring being the person who just says, this is correct, but in the wrong spot. But making this a bit of a deception game where the person who has the word, who knows the word and is answering the other people's questions, but allowing them to make one lie about it turns it into this really interesting deduction game. I think that this is a game that's fun to play both sides. I think that this is fun to play. I could see this being a very good 2-player game, like head-to-head, or maybe 3 is kind of the ideal, where the people guessing the word can kind of collaborate a little bit without it becoming too much of a crowd. But, whew, this is a bit of a brain burn. Very fun. A game that you should look into. Fiction. Trekking Through History. This is a game I finally got to try that Wendy played before me, and she despised it. She thought it was super boring. And I played it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's an 8.5 for me. This is such a great family weight kind of a game where you're doing a set collection of different types of these tokens and stuff that you get from these cards, or by trying to gather historical event cards that have, large, you're trying to create large chains of cards together. It reminds me of some of the fun parts of Ethnos or Racco, some of those types of things. I really like this one. I think the theme is great. I love the artwork, the presentation. This makes you feel like you're playing a deluxe game. and it's rather affordable. I'm really excited about this one that I'd like to play some more. Trekking through history, what a fun time, what a great theme, this idea of traveling through time and collecting these different events. I like what's going on. It even plays, I think, really well solo, and so I'm quite enamored with this one. 8.5 from me. Hashtag when he's wrong. Lastly, the last game, Earth. Earth is the game that I come in the lowest in at the office at an 8.5. I think Earth is really solid. I was unsure. That I took some time to really think about this one before coming down on a score. But having come from Dice Tower West, being able to teach this game to a lot of groups of players very easily, being able to teach it fast, and people not having rules questions they come away from it, but playing this really satisfying engine building game where you're just building up all sorts of actions, you're gaining benefits on other players' turns, and then you're choosing a type of action, and that everybody will benefit from that, and it just keeps moving. It's zippy. It's so fun. This is a great game. It really is. Is it perhaps a little bit overhyped? I don't know. You be the judge of that. Play it. It's even on Board Game Arena, so online you can go and try it out. Maybe it makes a strange impression if you don't understand all the physicality of it, but I still think that you could look at this and say, what a neat engine building game. What a game that just goes from 0 to 100 in just a few rounds. You start really getting a lot of satisfying actions and satisfying tableau build-up and everything. I think it has some luck. This is the reason that I don't come in as high as other people. There's definitely the luck of the draw. The stack of cards is huge. You might not see the cards to match the objectives in the middle. But even if you don't have the highest score at the end of the game, I think you're going to have a lot of fun manipulating things, transforming one thing into another so that you can build extra cards and so you can just have such a fun time. Earth is really fun, really teachable, and for that, it gets an 8.5 from me. So there you go, folks. That is another Rapid Fire Roundup here on the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee. Thanks for coming by, hearing my thoughts on these games. Hope you have yourselves a fantastic day. Hey, Mike. Crushed it.